Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is our April update of my Shop My Stash project pan. If you're unfamiliar with Shop My Stash or what's in my current makeup basket videos, basically that's when someone goes through their collection and pulls out a few products that they can work on for a period of time. So I'm kind of doing this video on a monthly basis, but I'm also considering it a project pan because I'm requiring, before I roll in a new group of products into my, I guess it's not really a basket, it's like makeup bag, I guess, that I'm using everything at least 5 times. So it's what I would consider like a usage style project pan, and it's really great because I already feel, I've only done this I think 2 or 3 months, I already feel like I'm getting some really good usage on products that maybe I wouldn't necessarily work on, but I don't feel like the pressure that I would in a regular project pan, that I need to hit pan and then I'm using it for months and months and months in a row. It's like I'm getting some great usage on this and then it goes back in my collection and I get some time to focus on something new. So I've really been enjoying this. Definitely try it out if you don't usually do like a Shop My Stash or makeup basket. If you really like project panning, this is a kind of a great way to set you up for future project pans and like make sure you're using different products throughout your collection. So all in all, it's been a really good experience so far, and what I'm going to do in this video is talk through the products that were in last rotation in March, and then go through my collection, pick out some new products, talk through those, and that is it. Up first is my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I use this a total of 5 times within this Shop My Stash project pan. I love this foundation, and if you watch my regular project pan, you'll see that I actually rolled it in to that at my last roll-ins. It was great having this in this Shop My Stash project pan first because I was able to use it 5 times and kind of set myself up for success rolling it into my yearly rolling style 5 product project pan. So I am really enjoying this. I think it's great that it's the shade that it is because it's a little darker than normal, but as we roll into summer, I'll be self-tanning more, I'll be in the sun more, so I think this is going to work really good for the summer months, and hopefully I'll be able to finish it within that project. Next is my Hourglass powder in the shade Dim Light, and I actually was using this as a setting powder. I got a comment from someone saying like it's not a setting powder, it's a finishing powder, but I'm of the mindset you can use your makeup for whatever you want. Like I always see people using, you know, lipsticks for blushes, so like why not use finishing powder for a setting powder? I think it's totally fine. So sorry that I'm kind of breaking the rules a little bit here, but it is what it is. And I used this 7 times as a setting powder. I actually really liked it. It worked really well, especially paired on top of something like this that's more matte. I feel like this added a little bit of glow, but also was able to set down the foundation, and I actually really enjoyed using this. I haven't used this as much as I'd like to, just over the course of time that it's been in my collection, so it was really nice being able to focus on it for at least 5 times. Like I said, I used it 7, and I think it's something that I'll continue to use as a setting powder. It actually worked really well for me, and I feel like when I was only using it kind of as that finishing powder, I was never pulling for it, but if I can pull for it as a setting powder, I think I'll probably use it more. Next is my Buxom blush in the shade Dolly, and also my Benefit highlight in the shade Cookie. So I actually use these both the same amount of times, 18 times each, and as you can see, look at the dip going on in Cookie. Like I am really excited about the progress that I made for this. I use this as my highlight. I put it on my collarbones for some different instances, and I also use this a lot in my inner corner. So really enjoyed using this, obviously 18 times. I used it a significant amount. And then this Buxom blush in Dolly, like this is 18 times is by far the most that I've used this, and I also loved this blush as well. Really liked laying it over the nose. Like it was a big favorite of mine. So happy that I rolled it into this Shop My Stash project pan. Both of these I feel like I made some really good progress on. Super excited, like I said, about the dip going on in Cookie, and I feel like I finally got some like visible usage on this Buxom blush as well. So these were big hits. And I think this time going into like choosing the products, after seeing how much I use the two of those, because I don't have a highlight or a blush in my project pan right now, I'm probably gonna pick at least 2 blushes and at least 2 highlights to kind of spread the wealth across my collection instead of just focusing on one of each, because it was pretty much the only 2 that I grabbed for the whole time that I was having this Shop My Stash. I also rolled in 2 single shadows. The first is Stila Kittens. So as you can see, there's a pretty good dip going on in this one. I used this shade 6 times. I really liked mixing it in with the shades that I have in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan, because at the time in March, I didn't really have like any neutral shades, and so it was really great to have something like this to work on in this project pan, as well as pair with a lot of my eyeshadow shades. So this one has been really great to use. And then I also had my ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Frog in this project. And this is an absolutely stunning glitter. I have loved using it. It's been really fun to just pat on top of really like any eye look, any eyeshadow, and it just brings it to the next level, like really amps it up. I have been loving this. And my husband and I went and saw a concert. It was like our first night away from our son the other weekend, and I used this like in my inner corner and kind of brought it up, and I just loved how that looked. I just thought that was so much fun. I layered it over some other glitter products. Like it was a really fun look, and I've just really enjoyed using it. And I used Frog 8 times this past month. Next is my Avon eyeliner. This is so small. I just want to finish it up at this point. I used this 13 times this past month. Used it in my waterline, used it in my tight line. I really like a black eyeliner in my waterline. I've always liked that. And so we are so close to being done this. I like just want to finish it and roll it out. But got some really good usage on it, was able to sharpen it during this past month. So definitely moving along on this, which is super exciting, because I felt like I was working on it in a project pan and then kind of stalled out. But now I feel like the momentum is coming back on that particular product right now, which is good. And to close us out, we have some lip products. So the first is this Lipstick Queen lipstick. I think that like probably one of the first times I ever used this lipstick was actually in this Shop My Stash project pan, which sounds so bad, but I just feel like I have a ton of lipstick colors, and like I'm not the best at like working through them and using different ones, so it was really nice having this in here to be able to use it. And I used this 5 times, and I wore it on its own. I wore it mixed in with the liner and the lip gloss in here, and I also paired it with my project pan lipstick as well, so was really able to kind of use this across the board. Next is this Carli Bybel Il Makiage lip liner in the shade Bible. I used this 6 times this month, and as you probably know from watching my videos, I am like not sure about lip liners. But that being said, using this 6 times this past month, I actually really enjoyed it. I felt like I did what I feel like lip liners should do. It changed the look of my lipstick. Like when I paired this with my project pan lipstick, it made it definitely a little darker, a little bit more nude and less pink, which I really enjoyed. And I feel like it made my lip color last a lot longer. So all in all, a really good experience with a lip liner. I'm super excited, and I think I'm gonna roll another one in to this Shop My Stash so I continue using them. And then to close us out, the last thing is this Becca Glow Gloss. I used this 10 times this month. This has a really pink tint to it, which sometimes I didn't love for the different looks that I was pairing it with, but I did really enjoy this lip gloss. Has a nice like minty smell, and it's not sticky. I'm wearing it today, and it just feels like really nice on the lips. So big fan of this so far, and I liked using it the 10 times. I have not worn this a ton outside this project, which I feel like some of these things kind of all fall into that bucket. So it was really good to get some usage on it and try it out a little bit more. So now that I've gone through everything that I used last month, I'm gonna put this all away, and then let's pick out what will be in my makeup bag for this month. All right, so starting with primer, I think I'm gonna actually pull in a primer. Even though I'm still working on my glassy skin primer, I'm gonna pull in a primer that I feel like does a very different thing. This is the Porefessional Pore Primer by Benefit. It's definitely a lot more matte than the glassy skin primer, so figured for days when maybe I am wearing something that is not a matte foundation, that maybe is a little bit more dewy, this would be a good option for that. So I'm gonna grab this. And then speaking of foundation, since I'm working on my Too Faced Born This Way foundation in my project pan, I don't think I'm gonna select anything new because I'm gonna be focusing on that. All right, so jumping into powder, I was really thinking and debating about pulling in the Kosas Cloud Set because that is new to my collection. But what I think I'm gonna do instead is actually pull the Ciate London Everyday Vacay Coconut Setting Powder because I don't think I've ever actually used this, and it seems silly to have something in my collection that I've never used before, so I think this is gonna be the winner for this month just so I can actually start using it. I'm gonna continue to leave bronzer out of it because I am focusing very heavily on my Fenty Beauty bronzer in my project pan, and I'm gonna continue to do that because I want to finish that this year and I have a big pan in it, so we're just gonna keep plugging away on that. But I will be choosing, like I mentioned in my intro, 2 blushes. So what I think I'm gonna do is choose a blush that has some pretty good usage on it and then choose a blush that really doesn't have much usage on it. So I'm gonna grab the Kylie blush because I haven't really used this one a ton, and I think I'm also going to work on this Makeup Geek blush in the shade Romance because, as you can see, there's a pretty good size pan in this one. So I think those 2 are going to be the ones that I'm working on, and I think I'm also going to take that same approach for highlight. I don't have a lot of usage on this Jaclyn Hill highlight palette, so I think I'm gonna pull that one in as the one that I don't have a ton of usage on, and then I think I'm gonna just stick with the Jaclyn Hill theme and pull in my Becca highlight because I have a pretty good size pan in this one as well. For single shadows, because that is something that I said I would always do in this project, is pull in a single shadow to make sure I'm using from this. I'm really like debating on pulling in one of these Kaja, what are they called? Moon Crystal? Like, I don't think they're pigments. I think they're more like glitters. So I think I'm actually gonna do that. I think I'm gonna grab this one. And then I think I'm going to pair something with that. Let's see. I have this L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in the shade Eternal Sunshine. It's a gold, and I think these could work really well together. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's pull those 2 in. As for liners, I don't know. I'm kind of like wanting to just continue focusing on that Avon liner, which I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this one back in. I know it was in last month, but like I said, I just want to finish that, so that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna skip setting spray because I'm working on this setting spray in my project pan. I think I'm gonna pick out a liner and a lip gloss to pair with that. It's like I said, I'm gonna try and keep using liners. So I think I'm gonna try this Kiko lip liner in the shade 534. And then for lip gloss, I was debating between my Fenty Beauty lip gloss in the shade Fussy and then my Lifter lip gloss in the shade Moon, which I feel like these are pretty similar. I think I'm gonna go with my Fenty gloss, and I'll save that one for another time. All right, I think that's it, so I'm gonna pop back on camera and talk through everything. As always, that was super fun. I love kind of going through my collection and picking things out. I usually have like a good sense of what I want to choose even before we film that part, but it's fun kind of talking through it on camera with all of you. But before I close out this video, I feel like it's a little unfinished unless I go through everything real quick again, so just you have a clear sense of what we're focusing on this month and why. So, like I mentioned, I am working on a pretty, what I'd say, like moisturizing, glowy primer in my project pan, and I'm getting very close to finishing up, which is super exciting. But I figured that it might be helpful for me to pull in like a primer that's more focused on like matte and like smoothing my pores, which is a little different purpose than that one. And so I am pulling in the Porefessional Pore Primer by Benefit. I have actually been pulling for this here and there to do exactly that. So figured since I'm already kind of pulling it in, I might as well actually pull it in to my Shop My Stash and get some time focusing on using it. I am not going to be pulling in any sort of foundation or base because, like I mentioned, I'm working on that Too Faced foundation in my project pan and would like to devote most of my time to working through that. And the same thing goes for my Fenty bronzer. I'm focusing on that in my project pan and would like to just kind of devote most of my focus anytime I'm using a bronzer to that, because I feel like the progress is starting to really pick up, and so I'm just kind of really motivated to use that bronzer right now. But that being said, I pulled in 2 blushes and 2 highlights into this, kind of both with the same mindset, and I'll explain why. As I just kind of chatted through, I used both the blush and highlight that were in my last Shop My Stash 18 times each, and I realized that, like, since I don't have a blush or highlight in my project pan, I was pretty much just pulling for my Shop My Stash blush and highlight, and I realized that since I was doing that, I should maybe like spread the wealth even more. And so what I decided to do was take the approach of pulling in 2 blushes, one that doesn't have a lot of usage, so this is my Kylie blush in the shade Rosy, and one that does have a lot of usage. This is my Makeup Geek blush in the shade Romance, to just kind of, like I said, spread the wealth, like use a little bit of both and possibly layer depending on the look. And that's kind of the approach that I want to take, so I think it's going to be a good one. Hopefully it works well, because I'm also doing it for my highlight. I am doing a little Jaclyn Hill themed highlight situation by using the Becca highlight in Champagne Pop. As you can see, I have some pretty good usage on this, so same as that Makeup Geek blush, and then also pulling in my Jaclyn Hill. This is the Flash. It's the Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics I guess highlight palette. I can't really show it to you that well because there's one of these little bricks is loose and just totally pops out, which annoying because that's how it was sent to me, but whatever. So figured I could get some usage across all 4 shades in this palette, because I haven't, to be honest, used this a ton, just because it is a little frustrating that the one shade doesn't stay where it's supposed to, and a couple of them came a little broken. And I don't know why, but that makes me not want to use this, which is ridiculous. So because of that, I am putting it in here and making sure that I'm using it. And I totally skipped over powder. So I was debating on pulling in, like I mentioned, the Kosas Cloud Set Powder, but I realized that I've never used the Ciate London Everyday Vacay Coconut Setting Powder, and that is crazy. So I pulled this in to use it and hopefully form opinion. Hopefully I like it. Moving on to eyes, I pulled in 2 single shadows, which I really have been enjoying pulling in some single shadows. So the first is this Kaja Moon Crystal Sparkling Eye Pigment. I haven't used this a ton, although it looks kind of like I had, but I think it's just the way the product settled in my drawer. So excited to kind of use this as like a base to layer on top of. And I chose this L'Oreal Infallible shade in Eternal Sunshine as to be the one to layer on top of it. This is one, like, this is an old one in my collection, so I would love to kind of just see how the quality of it, if it's still holding up, and if it is, that's fine, I'll keep using it. If it's not, then I think it'll be time to declutter it. So this will be a good test on that one. And I also think, like I mentioned, these would be fun to layer and also pair with the shades that are in my eyeshadows project pan. I also pulled in this Avon eyeliner again because I just want to finish it up, so nothing really more to share there. And then in terms of lips, as you know, I'm working on that Maybelline shade in my project pan, so I decided to pull in another lip liner. This is from Kiko Milano. It's the Smart Fusion Lip Pencil in the shade 534. So we'll be working on this pretty neutral shade. I think it'll look good with the lipstick that I have in my project pan, so that'll be a good pairing. And then I also decided to pull in my Fenty Beauty lip gloss in Fussy because it's such a beautiful shade and I haven't used it in a little while and definitely felt like using it, and I think it'll work really well with my lipstick that's in my project pan as well. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, just getting to see the products that I used last month, what's in my makeup bag for this month, and hopefully we make some good progress in terms of like number of times used, but maybe we'll hit we'll hit pan somewhere. I don't know where. I guess it's probably better. We'll expand some of these pans. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are staying safe and doing well, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.